Hello and welcomes back everyone, AnthWolf here with even more Pillars of Eternity. I sound a lot more awake and that's because I am. Indeed, Let us go, Balmung and party. I notice when I write in the description of this game, I keep on writing Balmung and co, Balmung and party, Balmung and his companions. Mostly because I don't know what else to describe them as. The Fellowship? That would be taking the piss a bit too much. Anyway, we completed a quest for the Hall of Revealed Mysteries last night before I slept. And now we have a few quests we can do still around Defiance Bay, but they're in different areas. So we're going to do the one for Dalton and Helig, I believe he was, in the catacombs. Takes us 12 minutes. So let's go to a brand new area where there'll probably be a lot more people to look at, a lot more souls to peer into. Oh well, it's not so bad.
Then you're close to home.
Close can mean a lot of things.
Surely you'll go back when this is all over.
Dunno. Guess that all depends.
Well, to be fair, at least you're not going to get strung up on the tree anymore. Let's see if we can talk to this Justicar. During the Crucible Night is a high honour. I bet it is. So we have Raymont Manor, the Charred Barrel. Sounds like another tavern. House Dolomel? I don't know. First Fires and Andra's Gift. Okay, first thing we'll do, of course, is go explore. And there's a sanitarium. That's where we need to go for Mordred, I believe his name was. I don't really like doing the service of Helig, but I wouldn't mind getting a second opinion at least. So let's go explore first of all. It's night time, so there may not be many people out on the road. The Charred Barrel. Out on the street, I should say. Oh. Oh, a lot of Adra here. Oh, is this just cliffs? Oh, there's Adra. Oh, wait a sec, let's look at this map. I wonder if it's like an Adra cliff face. That's interesting. So we have two people here. Isabel and Jalistra, the Palzerka Stobar. You see a dark room, noise filters in through a nearby doorway. The sounds of battle, scruffling, metal on metal, cries of pain, rise and fall as the fight rages on outside. There is a bellow of rage and Azorp runs into the room holding a book tightly across its chest. It looks frantically, searching for something. It hurries to the far side of the room and opens a box sitting on a makeshift table. It places the book in the box, closes it, and then bends over to push the box under the table. A small stone hits the back of the Zorp's head, knocking it forward a little. The stone bouncing to the floor, rattling a little as it comes to rest on the floor next to the Zorp's foot. It freezes in place, hands still on the box, eyes wide. As the clattering of the stone quiets, silence takes control of the room again. The battle outside has stopped. It spins around to find this woman standing in the doorway, leaning on a savage-looking two-handed sword. The book contains the answers I need, she snarls at him, moving forward. It hisses, rushing to meet her. Seconds later she is retrieving the stone from the floor, having separated its head from its neck with a practiced flick of the sword. She smiles, kisses the stone, and then places it in a pouch on her belt, patting it fondly. Leaning over, she pulls the box from under the table, opens it, elated with her find. Okay. And Isabel. You see a lush forest, quiet and dark in the early morning light. This woman walks through the trees, a captivated look on her face. She doesn't appear to have a particular destination in mind as she wanders slowly between the enormous trunks, looking through the branches and occasionally making a low chirping sound. When a responding chirp echoes through the quiet morning, she turns to head in that direction, obviously not concerned with losing her way. A loud metallic snap followed by a quick yelp cuts through the air, and she looks to it, focusing in the direction in which the sound came. She moves towards it on the verge of running. She seems to realise suddenly that caution is important and freezes, looking down, her foot hovering over the pressure plate of a well-hidden bear trap. She leans back and gingerly places her foot back on the ground next to the trap. She looks around, anger darkening her features. Grabbing a nearby branch, she presses down on the plate and disables the trap. When it snaps shut, she hears another yelp, this time much closer. Scanning the ground for more traps, she carefully makes her way towards the trapped animal. Rounding one of the trees, she spies him. A large wolf, bony with malnourishment, right hind leg held tight in the rusty metal teeth. He looks at her and a low growl starts in the back of his throat. His hackles rise as she pauses briefly to let him catch her scent. She lowers herself closer to the ground and holds her hands out, palms down, in front of her. "Aren't you a beautiful boy?" She inches towards the wolf. Have some sort of famous figure standing there, sword in hand, holding a plate of some kind. The world's most famous steward, maybe. A waiter. Timothy Whitewater and Rocco Francis Whitebrows. Even more souls to peer into. You see this man kneeling naked before a dais in the centre of a large round room. Across the room opposite from where he kneels stands a large throne. The throne's back and two of its legs are broken, rendering it unusable and causing it to tilt precariously on its stand. The room is ringed with figures clad in black robes, each chanting quietly, resulting in a low drone that pervades the room. Excuse me. On the dais across the brazier is another robed figure holding a leather-bound book with charred marks upon it. He is speaking to the naked man about fealty, dedication, and law. When he finishes, he bids the other to rise and hold the book out to him over the burning coals in the brazier. The naked man nods and the robed man drops the book into the fire. The naked man drops to one knee, briefly pressing his forehead to the side of the brazier, then stands and thrusts both his hands into the coals at the bottom of the brazier. He retrieves the book, slowly presenting it to the robed figure before him. The man rubs his thumb on the ash that is collected on the cover of the book and uses it to draw a mark on the naked man's forehead over the burnt flesh. The naked man bows his head and whispers, "Was that right, Dal?" The robed man nods patiently. The naked man looks to the broken throne with childlike eyes. "Did you see that, Mum?" Some sort of, obviously, ritual of some kind. Sticking your hands in a burning fire and coals would be something. If you do it quickly enough, I don't think it hurts you so much. It's like fire walking. As you near, you feel a vibrant history code containing the essence of this man's soul. You see a burly man inspecting a dilapidated inn, the Ormona salesman over almost dwarfing him as they walk through the once proud establishment. The walls are rife with stains, and only Whale knows what else smeared on every available surface. Not one thing stands unbroken, and moth-eaten blankets, rotting food, and trash give evidence to a succession of squatters. The man frowns, scrutinizing the space. The Ormona gives him a final offer, flashing 2 white teeth with each syllable, oversized and threatening. With a sigh and a jingle as he hands over the coin pouch, the man acquires the dump of an inn and begins to plan. We'll take some sugar, thank you. There isn't so much as a spot on these oranges. Oh. The marble is cool and perfectly smooth. Droplets of crystal clear water bead the statues. I suppose that's one thing about visiting these places at night. Anyone who's standing outside on the streets is probably someone we can talk to, or has some like relevant like flavor text we can learn and understand. So here's Hadrit House, another room I think I may have missed when I was looking at the map before. Oh, 2 Animancers. Speak with Head Warden Aothma if you wish to make an appointment with one of our Animancers. And we have Naden here. Naden sounds like a name I may have encountered before.
Hello.
A woman stands in the shade of the garden, muttering to herself. She is fixated on the pages of a large and well-worn tome, seemingly oblivious to the blooming flowers and the cool, fragrant breeze. She only looks up when your shadow crosses her page. Do you mind? I'm rather busy. What are you busy with? That's a bit rude of me, but I'll ask it anyway. I'm studying soul attachment. We all know that souls move into people at birth and out of them at death, but we still have a lot of questions about what makes them stick, so to speak. What do you mean? Souls power bodies and give their tissues life, but only when they're firmly attached. It's separation that leads to a whole spate of soul-related ailments, including the Hollowborn. But if we understood how to reattach souls, we could end Wadrin's legacy, maybe even conquer death. That's the theory anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have all the research I need to put into practice. What exactly do you need? There's a manuscript called The Theorems of Pangrim. It contains research from Pangrim's experiments on detached souls. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rumoured to have a copy. Pangrim's work is considered to be one of the more daring animancy texts. Not something generally circulated amongst novices, not easy to get a hold of. I know we might have a peek of it. The theorems could advance my research by leaps and bounds, but Grimda, the High Archivist, worships a whale, which means she has some paradoxical views on sharing and restricting knowledge. And since she's not exactly a proponent of animancy, she tends to restrict that kind of information that would be useful to me. Maybe she could be persuaded. You're welcome to try, and you wouldn't be the first. Look at me, spilling my troubles. It's kind of you to listen, but I really should get back to my work. Anything else? We actually took the theorems from that trap chest in the Elder Archives, because it was the only book that was under a trap. So, yeah. We can give it to you. You'll never believe what I found. You... Lady of Lament, you really found it. I can't believe it, it really exists. Thank you very much. This will be invaluable. She almost turns to the book, but at the last moment she remembers herself and gives you a bag of coin. I'm glad this will be useful for you. I don't suppose you could spare a little more? Ah, of course. She pulls a ring from her finger. It may not look like much, but we've always been able to use this ring to generate a little extra money when I was between stipends. It's critical for someone doing research without the benefit of a wealthy patron. Please take it. You've certainly given me a resource I couldn't find on my own. I have some questions about it, actually, if you don't mind. I couldn't really read it. Such as? Can you tell me about the theorems? Pangrim was an animancer working in the Deerwood. He had some interesting theories about essence and some rather innovative techniques for studying it. He was able to reattach souls to bodies after death, although he wasn't able to prevent his patients from degenerating. He was controversial, to say the least, but many are starting to realise that he was merely ahead of his time. What do you mean by degenerating? Well, there seems to be a tiny problem with reattaching souls after death. Their bodies will reanimate and may even retain memories and personality, but they develop a hunger for flesh. Living, soul-infused flesh. Without it, they start to devolve, decaying mentally and physically. If the process goes too far, which it eventually does, they become mindless corpses, attacking anything that moves. We haven't figured a way to avoid that. That is more than an inconvenient side effect. You've reproduced an unnatural curse with little to show for it. It sounds a little like necromancy, actually. Nonsense, necromancy is magic. This is science. Ah, that's all I wanted to ask, thank you. Anything else? I'll leave you alone. So, we got a side quest, and then we completed it straight away, because we did take that book. And this is how Umbrella Corporation was born. Remember Naden. The name will give you nightmares in the future. Just have a quick check here. Another just a car. So the only place we haven't really looked is in just outside this household here, which looks quite fancy. Arc de Gaff or Gaff, maybe. Is that a helmet or is that your head? I'm guessing that's your head. You see a rocky clearing overgrown with weeds. A crumbling wall cuts through one side and the trees reach towards each other overhead, blocking much of the light that would otherwise illuminate the body lying near the wall. The body belongs to an elf, face down in the dirt. His clothes are worn and ragged. Large bruises seem to cover him, and there are cuts, abrasions, and lacerations everywhere. Skin is exposed to the air. The elf twitches, a muffled cry escaping his lips, blurring dust around his head, and he begins to moan, his hands scrabbling against the ground, fending off something you are unable to see. His breath comes faster and faster until he's almost hyperventilating. With one final sound, a swallowed scream, his eyes fly open. In an instant he is on his feet, crouching, eyes wildly looking around. His breathing doesn't slow and every exhalation is a groan. With one last look over his shoulder, the elf runs into the embrace of the crumbling wall shadow, all but disappearing into the gloom. Looking down at his present condition, he murmurs, "I don't see how someone who so clearly screws his own livestock can be so sensitive about it." I wonder if this was Alof. I've got a serious wondering if it was Alof who has spoken to that godkind there. Godlike, sorry. Keep on saying godkind. Let's have a rush over here. Just a charred barrel. Where is its entrance? Aha. I'll check you out first. Bit smaller than the Goose and Fox, but it could be like the TARDIS and bigger on the inside. Maybe. Okay, Frustin sounds like he's got a tail. There's always someone who has a tail in a tavern. The young elf is dressed in gaudy robes that he seems ready to cast off. And then jump on the table and do a dance for everyone's visual entertainment. He picks at a heavily brocaded sleeve and continually adjusts a gold chain around his neck. He looks up at you. "Did she send you to run me out of town? You can tell her I'm not going anywhere without that medallion. I told Cyril I wouldn't let her sell it. If that's what you hear about, then save yourself the trouble." What are you talking about? If you have to ask, then you're obviously not here to shake me down. Cyril's a courtesan over by the salty mast on Andra's gift. We've been working together for over a year now. I find a noble with more money than sense, fill him up with liquor, and send him her way. They have a good time and Cyril takes her fee. And a little extra. 100 coppers here, a trinket there. It's a bounty for us, and these lords and ladies never notice anything missing. That's, nice of you to tell me, but it's quite dishonest. It's surviving. If those nobles have more wealth than they can hang on to, why should they keep it? Anyway, we've always split the bounty until a week ago. She takes a necklace off some noble. It's an Ingrifian medallion, damn near priceless. That relic is sacred to my clan, but she won't part with it for any sum I could afford. And even if I wanted to, I can't go home without it. It's a hard thing. You're both a couple of cheats. You're finally getting what you deserve. Good riddance. What could you possibly understand about what Cyril and I have worked for? I don't need help from an outsider like you. So even though I kind of refuse to help him, it's given me the quest to talk to Cyril. But I want to take the honest option because, to be honest, that's kind of slightly metagaming, that I want to keep my reputations. We have 2 in benevolence, 2 in diplomacy, and 2 in honesty. And we've seen it lately here in Defiance Bay actually have some effect. Some more sugar, and I don't know what your name is. Oh, there you go. You're an understudy. The scripts and props belong to a production of The Most Unfortunate Tale of Favia and Bernat. So it's a tavern and a playhouse. Abelhart Skeleton. A Skarian.
How do you do?
Well met. What brings you to the Charred Barrel? Is this your place? It's my retirement. Used to be a warehouse back in Brackenbury, saw more ship traffic, but it fell out of use when the area became mostly residential. I inherited it from some great uncle who never had any luck pawning it off to my cousins. Now it's the most popular spot in Brackenbury. The nobles come here to unwind and kith from other districts come to mingle. We get a few types too, but they behave in here. Besides, their coin's as good as anyone else's. So tell me about yourself. I was a cartographer for the Dukes for decades. Crossed the White Marsh half a dozen times and mapped most of the ruins in Fane Bog. A good career, but one suited to younger men. When I came back to Defiance Bay for good, Clive and a few other friends in the Knights helped me get the rights to refurbish this place. There's strong ale, quality entertainment, and a fresh sea breeze. What more could a man want? Can you show me your menu? Cool. Dragon egg dish. Plus 30 maximum endurance, plus 3 resolve. And we could rest here if we wanted. The rooms cost a little bit more, but they have some decent bonuses to them. Let's have a look back here. We have an upstairs and like a cellar, it seems. What I'll do is I'll end this video now. I could probably spend time exploring this place more, but it would take it probably into like a 35-minute video. Whereas I may as well start and, continue exploring the Charred Barrel at the beginning of the next video. So, this has been AnthWolf, and I hope you've all enjoyed, and I hope you all take care. And I will see you for more Pillars of Eternity in the next video. Till then, bye-bye now.